So the first water chemistry test we're going to do is for nitrates. And nitrates are generally good for organisms because they contain nitrogen, and nitrogen is needed to build protein. So all life needs nitrogen at some level. When you fertilize your plants at home, or people fertilize crops, there are nitrates in fertilizer. So they're especially important for plants and green algae, which are basically primitive plants. The problem is that fertilizer can end up in water bodies. And when there's too much nitrate, you get overgrowth of green algae. You may have heard of the toxic green sludge in Florida water bodies. And that's a product of nitrates coming from Florida agriculture and emptying into the water bodies. And you get this overabundance of green algae. When that green algae dies, it's consumed by bacteria. That bacteria sucks the oxygen out of the water, and it can create dead zones. That can be a problem. So nitrates, and when there's too many of them, it can be an issue, and they're generally considered pollutants. So in terms of our test, the lower the nitrates, the healthier the water body is going to be. So to do a nitrate test, and for most of these tests, we have little tablets that are going to react with the water that we took from the pond. They'll turn a color, and we can use that color change to determine how many nitrates are in there, or the concentration of nitrates in our sample. So I have a bottle of water that I took from the pond earlier. I've got a test tube. We're going to do this cover up the test tube because we don't want UV to affect our reaction. The first thing I'm going to do is in this test tube, I'm going to fill it up to the 5 milliliter mark on here with our pond water. I went a little over, so I'm going to use this pipette to pull a little bit of water out. Now we have just about 5 mils of water in our test tube. Once I have this water in here, I'm going to cover it with aluminum foil, and again, that's going to keep the light out of it, the UV light, which could affect the reaction. So it's probably in the way. And then to that tube, I'm going to add one of these, whatever you call them, tablets that will determine the amount of nitrate in here. So I'm going to open the tube up and then stick the tablet down in here. And then what I want to do is invert this for 2 minutes. When the 2 minutes are up, I'm going to let this sit for 5 minutes. You don't need to watch that happen. So that's all you need to see for the nitrate test. Again, I'm going to invert this thing, shake it up to mix that tablet in there for 2 minutes, let it sit, and then we'll take a picture of the results. We're doing this 6 times. So you'll see 6 different results, and we'll give you a chart that you can use then to see what's the concentration of nitrates in the pond water.